about a few. I hope you don't get upset, but I have to choose in 45 minutes what I'm gonna be doing. I am the author of Leading Exponential Change that basically sold 155,000 copies around the world. And there is also printed in India. And in India, I don't get any profit. It's just to help the community over there. In India and Brazil, that country had been hit by COVID badly. I'm just not getting any profit from the book to try to help the community. So said that, let's start with the presentation. I'm also the president of the Enterprise Agility University, which basically we try to develop courses based on neuroscience of change to accelerate change. And today I will show you some of these and some of the research we are doing in the brain. And I will mention some of the research we are doing because from my perspective, when we do a business transformation, what I see is many of the companies are not using the information we got about how the brain works during change and try to understand how to create what I call a powerful strategy. The idea is that you want to change something. You want to just help someone change. Now, when you try to change something, then you get basically three things. People who want to change, people who offer some resistance, and then you have some friction from the system. This is a like very high level, okay? And how to deal with that? If you are a Scrum Master or you are an Agile consultant or you are a change consultant, then the idea is what happened during change. And this is what I'm gonna be talking today with you guys. And I will be sharing some of the frameworks. So let's see how it goes. So the first thing we have to understand when we are talking about change is what I call, and this is something I talk in the book, is what I call exponential change or pace of change. We do not change at the same speed now than probably 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And this is the wheel. There is a wheel there that basically what we have is 5 different things that are speeding up the changes in the market, or what we call market disruptions. A market disruption is something that happens in the market and alters all the rules. And the first one is an expected event. Okay, before I had to explain what an expected event was. Now, I don't think I have to explain it anymore, guys. Then what we have is short work cycles. Companies are using short work cycles, like for example, Scrum or anything that they deliver something quicker than before. Now, the problem with that is that you are impacting the market, okay? And that's not really a problem because, you know, it's you. The issue is that other companies are doing exactly the same. And then every time they impact on the market, then generate disruptions. Imagine that, for example, you are trying to release something, and then the day before, another company releases a product better than yours. How are you gonna feel about that? Well, there are emotional aspects, how people feel. There are competitive and strategic aspects. There are money issues that you spend a lot of money doing that. So then the more we accelerate and more disruptions we create, the different the rules are that we have to use in the company. And these rules we are not talking just about methodologies, but about the strategy, about techniques, about what I call mental agility, etc. Then we have people interconnected. Before it was very difficult to have people around the world connecting, and then that increases what I call shared knowledge, artificial intelligence, and big data. What did happen is this will accelerate more and more and more and more the market disruptions. And this is interesting because if you accelerate market disruption, there is something that happens in companies if they are not using the right techniques. And when I'm talking about right techniques, I'm not talking about agile, I'm talking about post-agile. Yes. So what happened is we have a possible increase in conflict in the organization. Imagine that you have something very simple. You have a UX person, and then you just have one UX person, a scarce skill in the company. And then suddenly the market accelerates and 2 parts of the company need that UX suddenly from one day to another. What's going to happen is people are going to start fighting for those skills. And then it increases the internal conflict. So any acceleration in market increases conflict, because, for example, imagine you are just about releasing something in the market, and then someone releases, another company, something better. People are not going to feel good. Maybe some are going to blame someone else or the strategy, etc. So there is an important increase in conflict. The more conflict you have inside the company, the less innovation and business value you deliver. And this is something that maybe you say, okay, that's common sense. But if that is common sense, we also need to deliver framework and recommend our client the right practices. So in my perspective, companies that are not prepared for exponential change, and exponential change is something that can change by the minute, then it's gonna have a reduced capacity to deliver business value. Okay, I hope we are okay with that part. Then change consultant, you guys, the people we have now. So we have 24 people now in the room, and then I imagine all of you experience that. You went to a company, and then you discover that there is a guy who wants to change, and you say, yeah, that guy wants to change and want to embrace your ideas and want to embrace the strategy and want to go in certain direction, right? But unfortunately, that guy is in a team where the team does not want to change. Do you think this guy is going to change? Then imagine then you have people who do not want to change, in team who want to change. Then we have some team that do not want to embrace and go in any other direction. Then we have managers, sometimes they want to change, sometimes they don't. Maybe we have some, for example, teams that produce or they do not produce software. Maybe they are using Scrum or something similar, but they do not produce software. So maybe in there you have another challenge, which is how I make people work in an agile way if are not from software department. Because with software, we plus minus know, we have been doing that for ages, but what happened when we need to expand those ideas outside IT, okay? So then we have partners, for example, people that do not belong to the company, maybe they are not agile. So it happened to me in a company where part of the teams have members that did not belong to the company. And those members have a specific rules. I don't know if it happened to you, but this guy or these companies were not agile, and they were not willing to be agile, and these guys did not follow any of the agile principles, and we have them inside our teams in the company. How are you going to deal with that? So then this is interesting, as then we have the customer. Finally, customer is somewhere. Yes. So this is the kind of scenario you guys deal every day with in companies. And I have many frameworks that I've been developing for the last 25 years. Many of them are based on neuroscience of change. Neuroscience of change is basically how we research on how the brain works during change. And for me, it's very important. If we don't understand that, then the possibility for us to succeed is not much, okay? It's lower. So today I will show you one of the frameworks I took in the book, and I also develop and use with coaches all around the world. And then I travel a lot. Well, I used to travel, now it's all virtual, and try to explain to you how it works, okay? So the first thing we need to understand is what is enterprise agility or business agility. This is the first important thing, what it is. When we're talking about business agility or enterprise agility, which is exactly the same, I have a very, very clear definition. The definition has to be clear because in order to align people, they need to understand what enterprise agility is or business agility is, okay? So I have a very, very specific definition. This is the definition I share with CEOs and then with managers. And then you're gonna see that the most important about this definition is that as soon as you read it, it implies that you need to change certain behaviors. So a definition helps you align. And my definition of enterprise agility is crucial to aligning the company. So first of all, when we are talking about business agility, for me, is the capacity for the company to adapt to new market conditions. And the idea is that you want to create a competitive advantage. But can you see the green part without negatively impacting on its organizational health? So what happened here, guys, is the more you accelerate, the market accelerate, if you impact on organizational health, imagine the working environment deteriorate every time you release late, or every time you are not able to release, or every time you make decisions in the company, then this is going to be a downward spiral. So you're going to go down and down and down. So every decision you make in a modern company has to consider organizational health. Okay? So imagine if I'm gonna need to do something. For example, I need I have a deadline and I need to release in this deadline. If you push people maybe once in a very controlled way to work extra hours, maybe once is fine, but if you do it all the time, that's gonna take organizational health to the bottom, and then things are gonna deteriorate and increase conflict. And when conflict increases, then organizational health also decreases, right? But what is organizational health? I gave you my definition again. It doesn't mean that you agree with this, but that's my definition. This is in the book. It's psychological safety plus the creation of sustainable value in perpetuity, which means that you're going to be able to do that forever. Okay, so I hope you understood this and we are on the same page. So the first thing that we need to understand is that companies cannot adapt to market changes if they don't have high organizational health. And now many people in India are going to say, oh, how I do that in my company? How can I do that? Well, I know it's a challenge, but today I will show you a framework, okay? So another problem we have, or let's not call it problem, let's call it opportunity, is that in the past, when we did IT teams, we have people from software, but now our value stream, in order to produce something, since you come up with a certain idea, until you just give it to the client, then what happened here is that we have people from different areas. We can have one person from the financial department, one lawyer, one person from the marketing team, 5 developers. And what happened here, everyone has a mindset, different mindset, because what you studied in university or even in informal ways influence the way you think. If you give, for example, a lawyer a problem, then you're going to see certain patterns. For example, the lawyer maybe are not going to take many risks. Maybe the financial person are going to think everything as numbers. And maybe the software team are going to take more risks. And also they are going to be willing to use technology to solve the problem. So what we studied, conditions, basically, how we solve the problems. And then we have to have all these people in this in these teams, and to make sure that people with completely different mindsets are able to fit into a team. Okay, but I want to give you just the basic ones today, and I hope you enjoy the techniques. I hope we are okay so far with the explanation, right? So let me start. You understood so far 3 things: resistance in exponential markets. Second, you have a clear definition about health, and then you understand that in enterprise agility or business agility, you can have teams with people belonging to different areas of the organization, and they have different mindsets because what they studied influence the way they think. And when I say this, it can also influence how they share information, if they want to work in pairs or not, if they want to belong to a team. Maybe a person, it happened to me a long time ago in a transformation in a bank, that people from the financial department they never ever work together from the risk department, sorry. And then they didn't know what it was. It was not important. They were always evaluate risk on their own. How are you going to make those people work together? Okay, so let's go for it. Let's see how the time is. 27:20. So let's see if you have any questions about what you have seen. Let's do like 2-minute break. Not break, but then you ask me whatever you want, guys. And then we continue. If we have any question, let's do it now. Let's see how it goes, okay?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, looks like there is some network issue on Eric's side. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So he has left. Let's wait for it. Let him join back.
You join back.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Just my incredible Zoom crashed first time in 1 year,
Okay.
which is not bad, right? Okay, let me share again the screen, and then you tell me until which part you heard. Can you see the screen now?
Yet to come.
Okay, let's see. If it doesn't come, it never comes. That's the theory. Let's see. Let's share it again. So now you have to tell me until which part you heard, and then we continue from there. That's the plan. And this is a good time to see if you understood what I was reviewing.
I guess you asked for the questions and then immediately your network actually stopped. So.
Okay, good. That is good. Okay, let's reshare the screen. I apologize for that. And then let's reshare this screen. So I'm hoping that you can see the screen now.
Yes.
It's good. It's good. I finished with a question, right? It's very good. I finished with a question. So I was talking about teams, and then about specifically, I was talking about value streams, right? You got that part? Yes. Okay. So basically, what happens is when you need to change something in a company, then you need to have in mind certain things. So I want you guys use the chat box for a second and tell me some of the problems in the chat box that you are experiencing in companies. Give me at least a few, okay? Try to tell me at least 1 or 2 problems you have in companies now, and then we see how we match the techniques I will show you, okay? So anything you want to share, you can do it now. I give you 1 minute to share with me. Okay, timelines are client-driven instead of team-driven. Okay, yeah. Give me more ideas, anything else that you wanted to share. I give you 30 more seconds, and then you tell me Last few things, and then we see if we have something else. Oh, they just build it. They don't check whether they are using it or not. Okay, good. That's a good thing. Okay, let me introduce this cake. Hopefully you can see this cake. It's a nice cake. We have chocolate at the top, right? And then this cake, basically, you're not gonna believe me, but this cake helps you build what I call powerful change plans. And then someone mentioned here, try to fit hybrid models, waterfall and agile. Okay, that's good also because I will show you how to accelerate change in a company, okay? So I imagine most of you are trying to influence change in the company. Could be a Scrum Master, human resources, could be agile coach, etc. So in order to accelerate in a company, we are gonna use this cake. It's birthday cake. We are celebrating that from today. You're gonna be able to do good things. So this cake basically has 5 different levels. The top here is made of chocolate, and this is what I call technical agility. Technical agility is the possibility for you to change software very quickly, very cheaply, and securely as possible. Okay? Now in here we can find Scrum framework, we can use DevOps, we have all the techniques related to Agile in IT teams, software teams, okay? But when you have, or when you want to change just something on the IT teams, then the problem is you have a lot of resistance in the rest of the organization. So let me show you another type of agility. So enterprise agility has 5 different types of agility in order to understand how the dynamics work. The second type of agility we have is what we call structural agility. Structural agility is the capacity for an organization, or for that organization, to adapt their structures and their roles and their procedures as quickly as possible in order to be able to adapt to a market demand. Now, what is important is when I say changing something, I say changing something, but I'm applying the definition I sent, or I show you, where it has to be with high organizational health. I'm not going to create, for example, a new procedural role and destroy organizational health that everyone feels unhappy and unsafe in the company. So everything I change here has to have high organizational health. Okay, and this is very, very important. For example, if I'm going to change the procedures and roles from someone, I need to integrate that someone into the definition of those roles, of these positions, because otherwise that person is not going to feel engaged with change, and that person is not going to be feeling hurt. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to have higher resistance to change. Okay, so structural agility is very important. But you have to keep in mind that all these levels require high organizational health. Then we have outcomes agility. Imagine that you have your company has certain strategy. You are walking in this direction, okay? And suddenly you are producing shoes, and suddenly it starts bringing shoes in the market from somewhere else that is super cheap, and you cannot compete. What you need to do is you need to change the strategy, go in another direction. So basically, outcomes agility is the capacity for the company to change that strategy. So we are working in this direction, and suddenly I need to work on the opposite direction or in different direction. So how quickly I can adapt to this? Can I adapt to this? So if I used to produce shoes and now I'm producing something else, technology, well, how quickly can I do it? And then if I change it, I need to change many things. I need to change the strategy. I need to change the budgeting. I cannot do 1 year budgeting if something happened in the middle. How the hell am I gonna solve this? I need to change the contracting. Maybe I have partners that are not valid anymore, my arrangement with these partners, etc. Okay, so outcomes agility basically is how this company during turbulent times can change a strategy. Then we have social agility. Social agility, how people connect in the organization through virtual or non-virtual environments. Because the way people connect in an organization shows or depicts how fast, how quickly information flows into the company. And probably, if you want to a company that produces innovation and is able to adapt, people have to connect well and information has to flow well. And I remember I created a long time ago a technique, I call it ECO, that basically you just go to one part of the organization and you say something. For example, all employees are gonna get 5% increase from next month. And then you go to the other point of the organization and you see what you get. You wait for 1 or 2 days, and then it helps you analyze how information flows in the company and also the quality of the links. If you go to the other side of the organization and you don't hear anything, then something is broken in the middle. Okay, if you hear that, oh, from next month our salaries are going to be decreased 10%, then I will be worried. So how information flows in the system implies also how much innovation you're going to have and business value. There is a direct relationship between how people connect, socialize, and business value. And finally, we have mental agility. And this is crucial. This is something I talk in my book, and we are based on neuroscience of change. What is mental agility? Okay, mental agility is the possibility for one person to embrace the values and perspective from another person. But people confuse that with empathy. Empathy, when you touch your shoulder and say, I understand it, and you understand the perspective of that person. For example, I can go and meet a friend and say, oh, I'm so sorry for what happened to you, and I feel bad, and I share that perspectives. But mental agility is different. Mental agility is the possibility for that person to embrace a perspective, but also the values from that person. Imagine, I have a friend of mine. He loves football, soccer. Then I don't like soccer. Even I'm Latin American, I don't like soccer. So maybe I can share the perspective and say how well you understand football or soccer. But this is just empathy. With mental agility, I will feel for a few minutes their values. Yes, I love soccer because it's good for people, because whatever values they have and perspectives. And this is mental agility. It's the possibility for someone to embrace others in a temporary span of time, embrace just values and perspective for a limited period of time. And then what we have seen is, and this is called frame. A frame is the perspectives and one or two values of that person. The more frames one person can embrace from another person, the more flexible that person becomes. And this is what we call neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is basically how flexible that person is. Neuroplasticity, how your neurons connect. The higher neuroplasticity, the more you can see things from different perspectives, but also the more you are able to reframe situations, the less conflict you are going to have. And also it has a regulation on your feelings. Imagine that people with low mental agility, they try to release a product and another company release a better product the day before. People with lower levels of mental agility, they are going to be devastated. People with higher levels of mental agility, they are going to see as an opportunity, they're going to reframe, they're going to have certain impact emotionally, but they're going to know about that, and they're going to be able to keep moving. And this is the base of the foundations of this cake. So I believe, and I say that in my book, that any organization where people do not have higher levels of mental agility, they would not be able to embrace the other types of agility. Okay? Now, said that, how we do that? Well, we have techniques, different techniques as each level of the cake. And then what we do is, imagine we want to change something. What we need to see is to create what I call a powerful change plan. A powerful change plan is a plan, a tiny, where you have some software or some tool or some methodology, which is in the structural agility. You need to consider the support of the other areas. So you need to consider that if you're going to change the procedures, structural agility, you're going to involve those people impacted in the change, then you're going to need some software or some tool or something to support that. Then outcomes agility, you're going to need the right types of leadership, budgeting, etc. Social agility, you're going to need to make sure that when you do that, people still connect well and use the techniques. And then mental agility, you need to take it as an opportunity for people to increase their neuroplasticity. So every time we create a change plan, what we do is we do it like a tick list. Okay, with this plan I'm trying to do, I am considering these 5 areas. And then your plan should touch at least a little bit of this area. And this is what we call a powerful change plan. And this is what we need in enterprise agility in order to succeed. Plans are a little bit different than with agility that you go and just implement one practice. In here, you need this kind of comprehensive approach. So let's go for questions about this, guys. Ask me whatever you want. We still have 10 minutes, so ask me whatever you want about powerful change plans and about this cake. Let's see if you have any question.
So Eric, like one question I have, like for mental agility, right? So that is a basic what I feel, right? So is there any kind of practices that we can carry with us so that like we can become more agile?
Yes, so basically we use different techniques that we call reframing. Reframing are techniques that allow this person to increase neuroplasticity or mental agility, okay? So it's very extensive because we do it in a course for a whole day to teach coaches, but I will try to explain to you how it works. Think of a politician that you like, or someone you like from your family. Do not necessarily need to be a politician. It can be someone you like in your family. If you think of that person, you're gonna see that someone you admire. Could be someone from Bollywood, could be someone from wherever that you admire. And then think of some principles and some values for that person. So for sure, for you, it's gonna be very easy to embrace those values and principles. Yeah. Because you already have this mental flexibility to do that. Now, let's take something different. Think of a politician that you cannot stand, someone who you do not agree with the values, with the principles. Think of that person. Try to come up with that name in your mind. Someone that you cannot stand, that you don't know why this person is doing that, that is very difficult for you to understand it, that you don't agree, has different views from the world. Okay? Try to have this person in your mind. Now, do this. Now, try to think that you now become that person. It's not like you're going to pretend you are. You are that person. And then I'm going to ask you to embrace some of their ideas, the principles, and some value. Now I want you to start thinking using this value. For example, if the other person is opposite to me, imagine is racist as a value. Okay, now I become for a few minutes, just an experiment, I will become super racist. I will feel it. I will be super convinced that this is the right way to do. Obviously it's not, but this is an experiment. So what happened is, probably what happened to you when you do this reframing exercise is that you feel very uncomfortable. And you feel uncomfortable because your brain is protecting you from embracing new values and principles, reframing it. First, because it's dangerous for you. And second, because your brain tries to save energy all the time, oxygen, okay? So this is one of the exercises we need to do. We need to add into the company certain techniques where we can do with teams, with leaders, where we practice becoming not opposite, because this is very extreme. We don't start with completely opposite people that do not think like us, but we start with something that is relatively similar to us, but we don't agree with that person somehow. So what we try to do is for people to start feeling the values of that person, and when they need to practice. This is called reframing, okay? And we can measure that, and there is a different activation in the brain, and this is very important. And this is one of the exercises. As a change consultant, just try to feel or think of someone, some customer, and then there is an example here. A waterfall, okay? So you ask about waterfall. So imagine that you love waterfall, and then that person that you cannot stand because do not want to go in that direction, you don't agree. Imagine you have those values and principles. Become that person. But I want you to feel it. This is a way. So in terms of measuring mental agility, obviously there are ways to measure with complex machines, but an easy way to measure it is how comfortable people feel at embracing values and principles from another person, okay? And then you can see in companies, as soon as you step into the company, you can see that people are flexible or are not flexible. And sometimes you don't even need to measure, you know it. And you think of your friends, you probably have friends, or even you, I don't know, that are super flexible or that are not flexible at all. So what we do is we develop with coaches techniques to try to also measure it. But I would say if you want to develop a technique to measure it, start asking 1 to 10 how comfortable people in a team or one person feels about being exposed to a situation, a market disruption, something that changed, and also exposed to a situation which is going to threaten their values and principles. And then if I feel comfortable with this, then I probably have a higher levels of mental agility, okay? So ask me something else. How to measure of any organization? Well, I would start saying, try to measure first, and then you start expanding the ideas. Okay, question. We have 4 minutes for questions, guys. So if you have any question about powerful change plans and how to deal with all this, but it's a completely different way of approaching change. And I truly believe that if people do not understand the impact of neuroplasticity, the impact of mental agility, the impact of this cake, when creating a change plan, they're going to struggle. Yesterday, I was doing for Colombia, for Latin America, a presentation, and someone asked me, how do I convince my CEO that they should go in certain direction? And I told that person, I think if you try to convince someone things are wrong, because trying to convince, you're going to spend a lot of energy, and then you are not going to be able to convince this person because this person has their values and perspectives. So we work. 3 more minutes. I don't know if we have more time to answer any of the questions. We have any additional questions, guys? What would be a powerful change plan? Okay, so you draw the cake, then you put the problem at the top, and then you try to write a little solution for each of these layers. The easiest thing that is going to have the highest impact, and then you put all of them together, and that's your powerful plan. In order to fulfill this, you need all these 5 things. Okay. So I hope this helped you. You can find mine in my book, or you can send me also. We have also my address here. I want to share with you my email address. I'm also in LinkedIn. Let me see. If you want to contact me, guys, you can contact me. Or you have the Enterprise Agility University